What is good, YouTube? We're at it again. Chapter 5, Ren. Can you guys do me a favor? Hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 5K. Can't get there without you. But let's just jump into this. Ren, you're up to bat.
I tried to cling on to music in whatever ways I could during the time I was sick.
Okay.
During my time in Brighton, whenever my energy would allow it, I'd get myself out onto the streets and I'd go busking, about once every 3 weeks or so. It was my second year in Brighton, and I remember one evening heading home with my guitar and my busking amp after a couple of hours of playing on the street. I remember hearing this amazing ethereal voice while heading through the lanes, and I saw that it was coming from this 16-year-old kid. I've always had a deep admiration and feeling of camaraderie for buskers. There's something about the willingness to be able to bare your soul to a...
Yeah, when I was in my band Sugar Tits, my bassist would always go busking. I've done busking. My son has done busking. It's just fun. It's a whole nother element of vulnerability. Absolutely.
Feeling of camaraderie for buskers. There's something about the willingness to be able to bare your soul to a street full of strangers that really moves me.
Yeah.
I noticed that the kid didn't have an amp. He was singing totally a cappella, but you'd only hear him if you were within a few meters of him.
Yeah, you wouldn't hear
I
him
knew from
at
years
all.
on the street and singing a cappella than myself that an amp can change everything. I had this compulsion to offer him mine. I approached him and I told him that if he plugged in and sang while I played guitar, the whole street would stop in its tracks. And
That would happen too, because people love hearing that music.
I was right. His voice soared across the street and people started stopping. Not long after, we had the whole street's attention. Something quite magic was happening.
Yeah.
This was the first day that I met Sam Tompkins, someone who would be
Oh, that's Sam. Okay.
Magic was happening. This was the first day that I met Sam Tompkins, someone who would be integral to my whole life changing later on. He had a friend with him, this guy called Connor Honeyset, who would later go on to be my manager. For now, they'd just be a couple of teenagers that I'd have to help out on my way home. It's funny how life works like that.
Yeah.
I kept up to date with what...
And do the math, okay? He's in Wales, and then he's stuck there, and then he moves. He moves because he's had none of this stuff happen. The medical stuff, him moving from Wales to where he's at, to meeting all this stuff. It's like this divine thing that happens. Whew.
Help out on my way home. It's funny how life works like that.
Yeah.
I kept up to date with what...
Is it funny, Ren, or is it destiny? Is it providence? I think it's destiny.
Help out on my way home. It's funny how life works like that. I kept up to date with what Sam was doing on social media.
Okay.
There was a part of me that felt like his successes allowed me to live vicariously through someone else who lived an alternate reality where I never got sick. He was getting videos on SBTV, writing and featuring with some amazing artists. And there were quite a lot of similarities in our writing styles, and all at such a young age. I wasn't really able to do any of that stuff at the time. I was mostly bedbound with the exception of the odd day that I'd be able to go busking. It could have been very easy for that feeling to turn into jealousy, but it never did. I felt truly proud of him. Years later, we go on to write a song together called Blind Eyed, which would transform the trajectory of my whole career. During this time, I was still desperately jumping.
So that's Sam right there with the beard now. And this is his other band, what's it called? Push something? I reacted to them.
Transform the...
Guys, I can't keep up. I'm doing so many reactions, I can't remember the names of everything. Let me know in the comments, please.
Trajectory in my whole career. During this time, I was still desperately jumping from one treatment to another treatment.
Yeah.
And now that my diet had become more limited, I was trying new diets with no luck. As the options in the alternative health world started to dwindle, I started searching for answers in the divine. In the former years, I had moments where I found myself sitting in churches, talking in tears to whoever might be listening, or experimenting with energetic healing modalities like Reiki. With time, my searching started taking even more unusual turns. I started looking to things like exorcists. Once you exhaust all rational explanations and treatments, the irrational suddenly starts looking more palatable.
I mean, that's legitimate. Yeah, you're just looking for any grasp of hope, even if it's like a placebo effect of hope. Bro.
All rational explanations and treatments, the irrational suddenly starts looking more palatable. I had a skeptic's mind, but I had nothing to lose because there were no other good options.
Right.
My friend Momoko's mother was from Japan. She aligned herself with a sect of Buddhism called the Nichiren Daishonin. They would chant a repeated phrase over and over again while holding prayer beads. The chant would go, Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. Over and over.
I'm sure that's actual footage, right?
Renge-kyo. Over and over again. Its intention was to align you with your innate Buddhahood, to cleanse you of any bad karma and put you in alignment with your true destiny on earth, to find peace, to find tranquility. Momoko's mum gifted me with my own set of beads, and I began to chant every morning. Eventually I joined a group in Brighton after a serendipitous meeting with an incredibly eccentric, bright, colourful suit-wearing piano tuner. He spotted my beads and he grinned at me and he pulled out his own. We'd sit in a small group and we'd chant for hours sometimes. There was something comforting about trusting the course of my life and illness to an incomprehensible power outside of myself.
Yeah, there really is. I get that.
I spoke openly in these meetings that I loved feeling part of something, but that I really struggled saying with certainty that I believed in it. This was the issue I faced with every religion I temporarily aligned myself with, looking for answers.
Right, I get that.
Something in me couldn't bring myself to take ancient texts as gospel, all too aware of how man twists so-called spiritual doctrines to suit his own power-hungry pursuits.
I mean, there's facts there. Facts there. And religion has done more damage to people than anything else, than just having a simple walk with God.
Aware of how man twists so-called spiritual doctrines to suit his own power-hungry pursuits.
Yeah.
I wanted divine proof. I sometimes screamed at the sky or the waves and begged for it. I was answered with sickness. If there was a creator, I was angry with it. The irony was that I envied people of faith. I felt like people who truly trusted themselves to a higher power seemed to possess a level of calm and acceptance that I didn't.
I find that to be true too. Not necessarily in Ren's case, but like with people in general. He's so he's very observant, and I he sees what's going on. I love this about Ren.
They trusted themselves to a higher power seemed to possess a level of calm and acceptance that I didn't. One of my stranger encounters was going to see a shaman. The shaman, of course, was a middle-aged white woman in a quite nice-looking cottage in Brighton. She told me to lie down, and she proceeded to lean over my body and made noises like coughing up phlegm while speaking an unknown ancient language that seemed to include whistling noises. After about 20 minutes of making distressed groaning noises over my back, she paused in contemplation for a while and proceeded to tell me that I'd been killed by a sword in my past life. She made
there's your sword story.
for a
Okay,
while,
got it.
and proceeded to tell me that I'd been killed by a sword in my past life. She made sucking noises near the supposed stab site on my chest, and then she spat into a bucket. She then placed a little stone into my hand, and she told me that I had to bury it on a high hill in Brighton on the next full moon. The most depressing part of this story is during the next full moon, I did indeed find a big hill, dug a small hole, and I buried the stone in it. Surprising to say, fuck all happened.
Wow.
It was this journey into the spiritual unknown that led me to a very unsettling experience. I located a therapist online who had claimed to overcome ME herself. She specialised in it and dealt with people's past trauma, but also worked with energies like Reiki.
I have discovered that when people face illness, it puts them on a spiritual journey for sure. Looks like Ren's been on this one.
With people's past trauma, but also work with energies like Reiki.
This is another reason why I don't judge people where they're at, because people land where they land for a reason, and it would be very arrogant of me to just go in, guns blazing like Jesus is the way, and not understand the story behind where they got first.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Big Wireless has once again raised their prices.
Yeah,
In response,
Ryan. I want to hear Ren right now.
I had to get the train to where she lived. She met me in the car and drove me in silence back to hers. There was a bit of an unusual energy about her. I've always been really good at reading people. I can't quite explain it, but sometimes when I meet someone, it's like I have a sixth sense for whether or not they'll play a significant role in my life.
Yeah.
This person's energy felt alien to me. When we arrived at her, she told me that she sometimes would consult with her horses about people's health conditions. It was at this moment I knew that she was probably insane.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I shared a lot about my life. We got into the trauma of living with sickness, what it was like to constantly mourn your own life. It was comforting at first, and it felt like a safe space, until it got a bit weird. One day she offered me a glass of water before a Reiki session, and during the session I fell into a deep sleep. When I came around, multiple hours had passed, which was peculiar for me. I usually have issues with sleeping and couldn't drift off, particularly not in unfamiliar environments. She assured me it was total normal and to get plenty of water, and I thought nothing of it.
Did she spike his drink?
Lines started getting somewhat blurry when she'd invite me for meals with her and her husband. I took it as friendliness, but I noticed that she started messaging me outside of clinic hours. One time I agreed to create music for her in exchange for some extra sessions. Not long after, I started getting strange messages in my Facebook inbox. She started telling me how she knew that all my previous songs had been about her, which they hadn't. When I dismissed this, she would sometimes message me saying that she was outside of my house, telling me that our souls were bonded and that bad things would happen to me if we weren't together. To put it lightly, I was already in a pretty weird emotional place because of years of sickness. So having someone in the position of trust abuse their position like this shook me, and it shook my trust.
Yeah. And your trust in therapy. Yeah. Oh, Rand, I'm so sorry you went through that.
In therapy even more. It shook my trust in people in general.
Yeah.
I told her to never contact me again, and I blocked her, but she would still occasionally get through on other numbers. One time she'd phoned my mum's house relentlessly. My mum, knowing the details, told her to stop harassing me and threatened to get the police involved after things which went silent. This was also the year that I met my second ever girlfriend, who I'd later be engaged to for a short amount of time. My little sister had already set the relationship up in her mind. She met this girl in Bristol who she got on with super well, and somehow she wingmanned me and planted the seed in her brain that she'd be perfect for her older brother, me. My sister's friend had moved to Brighton, but I was blissfully unaware of this matchmaking. At this point, I was living in a house share in Rose Hill Terrace in Brighton with some lunatics I'd met at Ben's house, and Momoko had moved down from Cornwall. The house was only meant for 2 people, but Momoko and I had pretended we were married and pretended that we were going to have a baby to be able to get it. As soon as the deed was signed, we moved in with about 5 other friends, one living in the living room, one in the attic, one in the study, one in the conservatory. It's safe to say rent was pretty fucking cheap.
I bet it
One
was.
night my friend Luke was throwing a party and she rocked up with a few of her friends. My sister had pretty good taste in girls and I had a crush on her instantly. At some point in the night we both ended up lying on my bedroom floor and tasting girls. One night my friend Luke was throwing a party and she rocked up with a few of her friends. My sister had pretty good taste in girls and I had a crush on her instantly.
I'm reading that wrong. I know I'm reading that wrong. It sounds like he's saying to have a crush on his sister. I know I'm reading that wrong.
At some point in the night, we both ended up lying on my bedroom floor on a bunch of sofa cushions while about 6 other people were sleeping in various places in my room. One somehow in the upper compartment of my wardrobe. True story. She asked me to tell her a bedtime story, and I made up the most unhinged story I could think of. By some sort of miracle, she found my madness endearing, and we ended up kissing a lot and staring into each other's eyes till we fell asleep.
Aww.
It's strange navigating a relationship when you're sick. I couldn't go out to eat at restaurants because I was allergic to everything. I didn't have the energy to do most normal things that couples do. Some days I'd be so full of brain fog that my personality disappeared, and it was hard to explain that to someone without them thinking that maybe you were just being a bit off with them. I think losing Joe, losing Callum, losing the record deal, losing my last girlfriend, it had all made me wary of getting attached to good things. Quite a lot of my illness made me feel ugly, and it's hard to accept love when you feel ugly. True. Nonetheless, she did love me, and with time our relationship grew.
We all need love, Ren.
It was around this time I was contacted by a woman called Jennifer Breer, an incredibly inspiring woman whose journey seemed to parallel mine. She was an incredibly ambitious PhD student at Harvard who one day was struck down by a mystery illness that confined her to a wheelchair. She spent most of her life tirelessly searching for a way out. She was doing a Kickstarter to raise money to make a film called Canary in a Coal Mine. It would later go on to be renamed Unrest, and it would go on to win multiple awards, and it's still watchable on Netflix to this day. It's an incredibly important and very moving documentary about the horrors of living with ME.
Yeah, I need to watch that.
Recommend everyone checks that out.
I will, thank you.
At the time, I started health blogging. I created a series of video diaries that I named Me versus ME. It would be a video document of my various trials with different alternative treatment approaches, and generally a look into the life of someone with a chronic illness. I didn't know it back then, but those videos would save my life. I guess I was occupying a place that was needed, as quite quickly many people in the chronic health communities gravitated towards my videos.
Right.
Every day,
I've reacted
I'd be
to one.
sent messages telling the stories of the people who had fallen in between the cracks in the floorboards.
Wow.
There was heartbreaking stories.
Yeah.
Stories of frustration and confusion. People mourning the people that used to be. Some who were new to this world. Some who had been there for decades. I tried to help them in whatever way I could. I tried to comfort people. In my own little way, I became somewhat of a spokesperson for the voiceless. I felt their pain like it was my own.
Yeah.
This new pursuit gave me a sense of purpose that I desperately needed. Without purpose, I felt useless.
Right.
I made a lot of friends.
Pay attention. Without purpose, he felt useless. That's all of us. We all need purpose. And sometimes our pain is to redirect our lives to our purpose.
That I desperately needed. Without purpose, I felt useless. I made a lot of friends, and I'd write to them on a daily basis. Some of those friends died. Some of those friends decided to take their lives, and they'll wish.
Don't make me cry, Ren.
Some of those friends decided to take their lives, and they're wicked people. I talked to them a lot. It was this that ultimately made me decide to stop, but that wouldn't be until years later. Immersing myself in the horrors of this illness and trying to carry some of the weight for the others while I still wasn't strong enough to carry my own eventually took its toll.
Yeah.
Jen Bria had found my videos and she asked me to make a song for her documentary. I was honoured. I wrote a song called Patience. I'll leave you with a video taken at the time to finish off this chapter.
Yeah, you guys told me about this song, so let's listen to it.
And I've learnt some lessons that will be so valuable for like, so it's a blessing and a curse being this ill because it's completely changed me. Like it's turned me from.
I was wondering what his last name was. Ren Gill. Sorry.
This ill because it's completely changed me. Like it's turned me from a little cocky teenager into somebody who's quite this, I guess, prepared for things now. Like I feel like once I've gone through this, I'll throw anything at me and it'll be okay. But at the same time, as much as I see it as a blessing, I hate it. I do hate it.
Yeah.
I think it was Thomas Edison that was like, I haven't failed, I've just found 1,000 things that don't work, which is kind of nice to look at it that way, like I'm just eliminating things. But it really challenges my mind, and yeah, it's just gotten to the point where I'm spending, let's say, like 95% of my life in a bedroom, which kind of sucks, because my mind is in such a different place in my body. My mind craves life so much.
It's alright, it's okay, I'm feeling brave, gonna face this day. It's okay, it's alright, no tears will kiss my cheeks tonight. And it's all good, and I'm just fine. My words ring out like hollow shells. Just slow down, it takes time, but time moves slow, I know this well. And my heart breaks 1,000 times a day.
So think about that. My heart breaks 1,000 times a day because my mind is moving faster than my body can.
But for every hope that dies, another one takes its place. Because
Wait, what?
for every hope that dies, another one takes its place. Because I have the strength of a mountain, and I've got the courage of the deep blue sea, and I have the heart of a lion, and the stars burn bright inside of me. And although you test me, my God, I stand so proudly. Can't you see that I have the strength of a mountain, and I'll take all you throw at me.
I'll take all. Wow. So even with his body failing him, and he's got the strength. Like, I'll take it. I still am gonna fight on. And some people will misinterpret this and be like, he's standing against God. No, he's standing against his illness, and his spirit is stronger than his body. That's what he's saying here.
And I'll take all you throw at me.
You're a better guitar player than I am, Ren.
This world is quite scary, I know that, cause I've been here for some time. But all that prepares me for a day when I can truly shine, 'cause I've
Oh, dude, the wisdom that he has here. The wisdom that he has here. This world is scary, but it's really preparing me for the moment in time when I'm going to shine. Dude, wisdom.
prepares me for a day when I can truly shine, 'cause I've been so broken, and picking up fragments of myself, I'll glue them back together so I can.
You notice he didn't say fragments of my mind, which would have rhymed, because his mind is intact, but his body's not. Picking up fragments of myself.
I can truly shine, 'cause I've been so broken, and picking up fragments of myself, I'll glue them back together so I can stand at the edge of this world and yell that my heart breaks 1,000 times a day. For every hope.
Think about that. Oh, that lyric is so deep. I stand on the edge of literally the cliff with my body that I've pieced together, and I'm screaming because my heart breaks 1,000 times a day, and I'm 1,000 times a day I'm gluing myself back together.
1,000 times a day. For every hope that dies, another one takes its place. Because
Yeah, even if it's placebo effect, for every hope that dies, another one takes its place.
I have the strength of a mountain, and I've got the courage of the deep blue sea, and I have the heart of a lion, and the stars burn bright inside of me. And although you test me, my God, I stand so proudly, can't you see that I have the strength of a mountain, and I'll take all you throw at me. Dust the cobwebs off this sheath. I'll dust the cobwebs off this sheath. And I'll take the sword of my belief. And in this storm, I will not flinch.
Think about it, his storm's been going on for like years at this point.
I will not flinch. And I will not move. No, not an inch.
Wait, what? I will not move.
Move.
What?
No, not an inch. Because I have the strength of a mountain, I've got the courage of the deep blue sea, and I'll have the heart of a lion, and the stars they burn bright inside of me. But although you test me, my God, I stand so proudly, can't you see? I have the strength of a mountain, and I'll take all you throw at me.
Fire. Oh, man, his story. I love this. Follow over his journey as he continues to search for a cure. GoFundMe.com. Boy Who Can't Eat. Facebook.com. Me versus Me blog. Oh, fire. Oh, the poor guy. Dude, this is so good because I know this is all leading up to his album, and I know that his album is going to be all about this stuff, and this is such an incredible, which artist, it's like an incredible journey. I should finish my thought, but I don't know any other artist that is this vulnerable with their sickness. I know artists who are vulnerable with their frustrations, with their life, with maybe what they're going through, but this is vulnerable. Oh, kudos, Ren. Okay, we're on to chapter 6. God bless you guys. Bye.